Welcome to Gorilla and the Geek, a show about shows. I am one half of your host, Buff Charmander, joined as always by my good pal, the Ginger Gorilla. Ginger Gorilla, happy Mother's Day. You're not a mother, but still, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Kyle. Happy Mother's Day to you too. Maybe one day we'll both be mothers. Um,
Yeah. And, uh,
um,
and and happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day, because this will be out probably the day after Mother's Day. To any listeners out there who are moms of any kind, we love and appreciate you all. One mom a case can be made that did not get much appreciation is a mom on the show that we are discussing today. Today's pod, we are talking about Ozark, specifically season 4. I figure we kind of talk about the whole season, not just the second half of season 4.
yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot happened. This was the penultimate season of Ozark, the 4-season show on Netflix. You got me to watch this show going into the season because you said the show was going to be great. Were you watching it from the beginning, like from when it first came out?
No, I think season 1 was over when I picked up. And I think I binged it to get to season 2 on time or something like that. But even then, there was like people were telling me left and right back then to watch, and it was one of those shows that, man, it was hard to get you to watch this show.
Yeah, originally, you know what it is. I think sometimes people build things up like, oh, this is the thing that you need to be doing right now, and you hear it and you're like, yeah, sure. You have other things you're watching, you have other things you're doing. And then eventually, it's kind of like someone breaks you down to the point where you're like, fine, I'll give this thing a watch. And then you binge it all within a week.
Just
And
had to
that's kind of what happened
destroy,
with me.
just had to destroy your will. We were just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
break his will, make him watch it.
It's kind of like getting a kid to eat vegetables for the first time. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
seriously, this is good for you. And it tastes pretty good. You just got to get it through your head. No, I don't want it. And then eventually you learn, hey, broccoli and spinach are pretty good. Same with Brussels sprouts, underrated. Anyways, back to the show at hand. Season 4 of Ozark. So much happened. A lot of chatter online as to whether or not this was a good finale, and we will get to that question towards the end of the pod. But first off, did you like that they separated the last season into 2 halves?
I loved it because it was a longer season. And as I've said time and time again on this show, I am here for event television. I wish they did weekly releases instead of just one big thing, especially with something that was culturally big, right? This was another show that everybody's watching. And there's really not many people that I know who haven't seen Ozark. Especially at this point, with it being wrapped up. So with that being said, it's one of those things that I wish it was like a weekly thing so you could talk about it, and it builds the hype up of each new episode, especially with, like you said, there was so much going on in this season. And so many big events throughout just this season that there would have been almost every week, like that moment of, oh, I can't wait. Now, I get it. Netflix still leans towards the binge culture-esque model. But I mean, obviously we're not going to go into Netflix going into the red and stuff like that, but I think this is part of the reason. I think if you had event television on your platform, it would want more people to have that platform, because now it becomes an event. It becomes not just a cultural show that you could watch at any time and binge at any time, but it's one of the things that you want to be there. Where were you when Game of Thrones ended? Where were you when Sopranos finished? Like, it's one of those things. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones at the end. I still haven't watched Sopranos. But it's one of those things that people like to be there for it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, now correct me if I'm wrong. Was Love is Blind, was that a 3-week thing? Was that that one 3 weeks, right?
Believe so, yeah. I think it was only like 3 weeks.
And The Circle is usually 3 weeks as well.
Yeah, this circle. Okay, so this time the circle is 3 weeks of releases, and then a fourth week is the reunion.
Okay,
So
cool.
there's 13 episodes total technically.
Gotcha. So my thing is, I think that kind of helps. It breaks things up. Number one, number two,
Yeah.
it kind of helps. I think weekly releases is my preferred thing as well, but we know that Netflix is very much seemingly against that for some reason. Even fun fact, even the Pokemon anime that comes out in 12 episode bursts every couple months. It's really strange.
That is really weird.
It's like I think they treat it as like, all right, so every 3 months, 12 episodes come out, kind of as like technically you got 12 weeks of television,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's weird.
And I mean,
So
I was gonna say, sorry for cutting you off.
no, go ahead.
I at the same point, we have a friend, Sean, um, who he waited. I think he didn't watch part one of this Ozark final
Correct.
season, and he was like, I think he was the first person to pick up on Ozark back in the day. Like, so it's one of those weird things where he didn't want to have to wait. Like he wanted the binge to get through all of it. So I guess maybe they know more than we do. Maybe more people feel the way they do. Speaking of which, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let us know, what do you like more? Do you like the weekly releases, or do you like being able to binge a show all at once with a big dump of content on you?
Yeah, I've asked people before, and most people who are kind of like casual TV watchers and casual movie watchers do tend to, I think, lean towards the binge side of things, and people who are more into like the who are more avid watchers and kind of appreciate the cultural relevance of these shows tend to lean towards where we are on that side of the debate. But regardless, it seems as though Netflix likes the binge side of things. But I will say that they separated the season at a really good point. The first half of the season, obviously culminating with the massive two deaths at the hands of Javi, I thought was an excellent midway season point to end off on. And I mean, that's kind of the biggest moment of the, not even kind of, that's definitely the biggest moment of the first half of the season. Before we touch on that, is there anything else you wanted to talk about in the first half? I mean, we had things like Omar meeting up with Maya. We had Omar meeting with the FBI. Maya turning on Omar and Marty. We had Javi's introduction and Omar being was it Javi in season 3?
Javi
Either
was in
way,
season 3 because season 4 actually starts off with a big moment where Javi just kills Sheriff Nix.
there we
In
go.
Season 4, episode 1, he's in now I can't think of her name because she's been dead for too long in my brain.
The lawyer.
The lawyer. Yeah. He's in her house and just kills Sheriff Nix for really no reason. Like, I mean, I guess he saw police and he's cartel and he like thought it was gonna be a problem, but immediately just got him out of the way. But that later then becomes the trend of what Javi does. He shoots first, asks later. Like,
Yes. Which her name was Helen, by the way. Shout out
Helen, yes,
Jeanette
Helen
McTeer.
Pierce.
Jeanette McTeer did a great job with that character. But R.I.P. Helen. Anyway, oh, by the way, we go full spoilers on this show in case you didn't notice.
Yeah.
But back to the conversation. We see Javi being dangerous. It then culminates, and I kind of just want to get into it. It culminates with him killing off Wyatt and Darlene.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, when Wyatt started messing around with Darlene and then eventually got married to her, I knew that was going to be the end of his character in some way, shape, or form. Once you make that type of decision, it's kind of hard to see the character making it out alive. But what the show did so well was position the Langmores as, although they start off the show as, their first introduction to the show is as these like low life thieves, they set the young Langmores up, at least, to be these really sympathetic characters. Wyatt is this guy who has this bright future ahead of him, is going to go to like a big time school, and then winds up making choices to just kind of forego his future, and it ultimately cost him his life.
Yeah.
I mean, I for one was kind of happy that Darlene got taken out.
Yeah.
But Wyatt, that was the one. That was the moment where I was like, oh wait, they're going for it this season. How did that moment land for you?
It broke my heart because Wyatt was one of my favorite characters. Because there was still, like you said, there was so much hope. You thought this could be the generation that breaks the Langmore curse. And then when this happens, you just kind of sink back in your chair and you're like, nope, the curse is still real. Because of the fact, but also he kind of did it to himself. Like you said, as soon as he linked up with Darlene, you're like, this is bad news. Like, this isn't gonna go well. And I think the whole entire relationship, you're just hoping that he gets away. And at one point, he almost does, until the baby gets taken away from Darlene, and he feels so bad that he needs to be there for her. And that, I think, was his downfall right there, because then it obviously ends up getting him killed. But once again, it's Javi he acts like I mean, now given, should he have done this? Probably. I mean, if you're in that world and you're the cartel member, Darlene was messing with the stuff for way too long, and she was getting away with things that she shouldn't have been getting away with. But at the same point, it was heartbreaking that they took Wyatt out, and the way they ended the season like that, and then with obviously Ruth's reaction after, which became a huge internet success of her screaming, "You're gonna have to kill me," or "effing kill me." I mean, man, that was just something else. But even like you said with Helen and the actress who played her, the actor who plays Wyatt, and even the actress who plays Darlene, and basically every other actor and actress in this show, are just absolutely stupendous. Like, there's so many moments where Wyatt and Darlene, who are two completely different ages, they have these scenes together where there's an emotional connection, and you're like, wow, they actually are emotionally connecting, like in weird ways. Maybe they are good for each other in a sick, I didn't grow up with a mother type of way. Like, because that's what this was, people. This was weird mommy issues for Wyatt.
Yeah, when did you think that they were gonna go that route right away, or did you not realize it until that moment in the house after dinner when they start to when the energy shifts? Did you know that they were gonna go the physical route with it?
No way. And no, I didn't think that was gonna be the move. Like, I mean, I think I was also kind of hoping, just because it's disturbing that that's the move.
And
I didn't want
Wyatt, so you don't want him
yeah,
to do this. It's like, dude,
exactly.
No.
Because like,
Charlotte was right there. She liked you. Just go there, dude.
that would have been a power couple.
Oh, you hate to see it. That Ruth moment, after she finds Wyatt's body and goes to see the birds, they're gonna play that at her Emmy nomination moment later this year, or next year when the Emmys occur, because that she's so far, out of all television that I've watched this year, she's the best performance so far, and it's a tough one to beat. I'm not sure who's going to be able to, although Tom Pelphrey as Ben later on in the show, even though it was only one episode, still putting up,
oh my
putting up
god,
a banger. That man is an extreme talent. That, oh my gosh, what we need to see him in more stuff, but that's besides the point. Shout out to Tom. So that was we have categories for this pod. That was my most shocking moment of the season. Was that the death of Wyatt and Darlene? Not my favorite. It was my most shocking. If yours has not happened yet, we can talk about it later. I just wanted to say that was my most shocking moment of the season.
That is, I think, up there. I think I think it might be tied with another moment, but we'll get to that moment when we get there.
Cool. Let's talk about the opening episode to season 4.
Yes.
To the second half of season 4, which introduced the pathway to my MVP performance of the season. But we'll get to that a little bit later. It's kind of the story of... It's really the story of Ruth and why she is on this warpath to kill Javi and why she's so upset. She grew up with Wyatt. She's struggling with her place in this world and whether or not she should... Honestly, to me, it seemed like she was struggling with whether or not she was going to continue on with the Langmore curse or with turning over a new leaf and trying to cope with it in other ways and just move on with her life. Ultimately, as we know, she decides to kill Javi by threatening Marty, Wendy, and Claire. F.U. Claire, by the way, just a small little aside. Winds up gunning down Javi by the end of the episode, which I thought was a brilliant decision. I was so worried they were going to drag out the killing of Javi towards the end of the season, but I'm so glad that it happened early on.
That is the moment that kind of shocked me.
Really?
I didn't think she had it in her to do it. Even when they like when she got up into the office building, I can't remember the name of the company, and she had them call Javi, and then it happened, I thought it was still a hallucination because she was hallucinating earlier, and I thought the hallucinations were just getting worse and worse, and then this was like a dream or something. I didn't expect them to just kill Javi off so quickly, or I thought it was going to end up being someone else who would take him out. I didn't think that she had it in her at all.
Okay. I'm ultimately... Are you glad it was her?
Yeah, 100%, because if not, I think she wouldn't have developed as a character throughout the season or made the moves as the character this season as she does.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I think it kind of... It solidified where that character was and where that character was going, and ultimately led to Ruth's downfalls we'll get to later on in the pod. Or actually, would you like to just have the Ruth conversation now?
I'm down to have that conversation now.
So she is my MVP of the season.
She's the MVP of the series.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, this made her career in a sense. No offense to the actress if she's done other things. I know she's in Inventing Anna, which I watched and was good. She's the best part of that show though too. And I want her in other things. Like I need her in more, either a movie or TV shows, definitely.
I want to see her in some films, dog. I want to see what she can do, man. I want to just see her range. She is the type of performer that whenever she's on screen, everyone else takes a natural step back, even if they don't want to. She is an alpha dog performer of the highest degree, in my opinion. Only 28 years old and eats scenes alive. Even when Tom Pelphrey's Ben Davis is on the screen, she's kind of going bar for bar with him. And he's probably got the best performance of the show, pound for pound. Even though he's in the shortened stint of the show, he's probably the best one overall in terms of just sheer performance. But she's holding her own in scenes with him, as well as Laura Linney as Wendy as well. She does a great job too. But I just think Julia Garner's Ruth is a phenomenal... I hesitate to say all-time TV character because she was... Well, you know what? Maybe she is, because she's a supporting role and she just kind of steals the show.
I would say so too. And I mean, I wonder if her popularity as a show grew early on, if they gave her more of a role in the show. Um, because I remember like when the show first started coming out, she was, I mean, she won people over right away. Um, I mean, she has lines in every season that people would quote. I mean, I don't know shit about fuck or whatever she
Was that
says
her?
early on. Yeah, that's her. Like, and
Oh.
that like that was a catch on, and then the when she screams at the ending point of the midway for this season, that about you're gonna have to fucking kill me. It's these emotional moments. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know shit about fuck isn't emotional. It's more just, it's just she puts it out well.
It's iconic. It's iconic.
But just think about the character development, which obviously is more of a writer thing, but she had to pull it off, and she had to. I mean, the character is her, and she's the character, and the growth that we saw from her, just even confidence wise, is chef's kiss throughout the whole thing. And like you said, MVP of maybe one of the best characters. I mean, I don't know who else I could really put above her, even especially as a supporting if like character role. Which that's even hard to argue because she plays a very big part in this show. I mean,
She
especially
becomes
towards
the
the
lead
end.
eventually.
Yeah, towards the end, she is. I mean, obviously Marty is still technically the main character, but she's not very far off from being the main character. Like if they did a spin-off um at some point with her, I think it would have worked.
So, can I make two side cases for runners up? Not they're not gonna touch Ruth, but just two side cases.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason Bateman as Marty Bird is, even though he was a part of the creation of the show, I believe, or at least a part of the creative team. It's an inspired choice to make that character him. He's God, is he up there with Paul Rudd as two of the most likable middle-aged male actors working today?
And I think so, and I think I know why. It's because they have range.
Yeah.
Like Paul Rudd, comedic actor, goes into some serious roles, becomes a an Avenger.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman, I'm waiting for you to enter this Marvel universe now. I mean, he hasn't been in any MCU, right? Properties.
No.
Well, there we go. Your big ticket just ended. I'm just saying. I don't know who you could be, but you could be someone. I'll take it because he's. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched Arrested Development. Comedically,
No.
he's got the beats. He's there. Like it's his humor is more of a dry sense of humor in a sense, but he's funny. He is one hell of an actor. Another character in this show that obviously had an amazing character arc. I mean, he goes from vomiting when his best friend gets shot in front of him, his partner, to now running the cartel at one point. I mean, you're right. It is. He's up there with one of the greatest characters, but I don't. Ruth, I think Ruth edges her.
No, yeah.
Ruth edges him out. I mean,
There's in the words of Rick Ross, there's levels to this, but the or Meek Mill, but the thing with Marty is you need someone likable as the lead of the show because even though he's doing awful things, you still kind of root for him.
mm-hmm.
There's a softness to his performance that I really appreciate, and I think he's just great. The counterpoint to that is the character who I believe is the main fulcrum of the show, in which all action is because of her actions, and that's Wendy Bird. Laura Linney, incredible job. She borderlines on like so much heat with me as an audience member that I want to like turn it off when she's doing stupid things or things that we see as possibly stupid actions, but it's just so good. It's so
and
good.
you know what's annoying? Every time she's doing something, you're like, you are dumb. Like you're messing everything up. You're just selfish. This is partly for you, or this is because it's only your interest, which is kind of true. She's very evil. But they work. It ended up working over and over again. So like you said, in her own way, she's her own powerhouse. And I know, like, there's no need to liken these shows together, but Ozark and Breaking Bad, these are these two pinnacles of shows about these goobery white guys who then end up becoming crime bosses, basically. Imagine if Walter White had a wife like Skylar, or I mean, Jesus, the things that I think he would have been the head of a cartel too. I mean, and I think at that point he would have had so much more power because he was also a murderer. I mean, he is the guy who knocks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
or if Marty Bird and Walter White linked up at some point, I think it would have kind of been like a Darlene situation though, because of the fact that I don't think Walter White had it in him to let anyone else kind of have equal power. I think he was nervous, so I think there would have been too much butting of heads when it came to ideas. But like you said, in the end, pinnacle character has to be Ruth Langmore.
And that is why she is both of ours, I believe, MVP of Ozark Season 4, as well as Ozark the series. And from then on, I think the case could be made that the show takes so many twists and turns that it might be a little bit disorienting. For me, I kind of got a little bit lost in the shuffle with some things, with all the different planning, all that Marty had to do. Did you find there to be, from that moment till the very end of the season, did you find there to be a little bit too much, or were you finding things easily followable?
There was a lot. There was a lot going on. It felt like they had a lot to wrap up on storyline wise. And they were wrapping up. I mean, which made it, like you said, there was a lot of points. I mean, they had the Wendy's father story that was in there, which I didn't expect to see.
Yeah, that was the first time we'd seen him, right? Like physically?
Yeah. And all in all, it was weird because of the fact that I asked myself, what was the point? I think the point was kind of to have Wendy do some moves that she maybe wouldn't have made, which kind of altered things in a sense. Like getting that PI a job somewhere instead of getting what's his name on the S&D list. Omar on the S&D list. So like maybe that was the reason for things. But all in all, like maybe it helped mend her relationship with oh my god, I'm blanking. The son.
Noah?
No, yeah, with Noah. Maybe that was the reason for it.
I'm sorry,
but
Jonah. I said
Jonah. Yeah, there you go. I was like, oh, it sounds off, but I'm gonna go with it. But like, really, besides that, do you think there was what were the reasons that you saw that storyline was taking place?
So I took that as a way to explain who Wendy was.
Okay. Yeah. To make her not as bad, I guess.
Yes.
Like,
and just to kind of explain, like, dude, why are you the way you are? Why are you doing all this?
mm-hmm.
It did kind of help. Okay, she's this way because this guy was probably the worst father in the world. Now, I will say that storyline facilitated my favorite moment of the season. Can I give you that moment?
Please do.
Once again, the MVP coming through. Ruth getting Nathan, the grandfather, to drunkenly admit at gunpoint as to why he wanted the kids in the first place. I thought that moment was awesome. I was fist pumping in my room going, yeah, get his ass. I was just so into it. Did you find that moment satisfying?
Oh, that moment was so satisfying because it was Ruth. I mean, also the way Marty laid that out of like, do this. I don't care. Like, shoot, I forgot exactly his line, but it was basically like, I don't care if you kidnap him. I don't care if you beat him. I don't care if you murder him. Just make sure my kids don't go with him, or else you're dead. Like Marty just kind of just laying it out there, being like, I don't know what to do anymore, so I'll get you killed. Figure it out. Like, this is on you. You did this. Like, the reason that my son has a vendetta with his mom, or the mom vendetta with the son, is because he's working with you and everything. I'm frustrated. And then just her with like the gun on the table and just kind of moving it and shooting the bottle and being like, well, your grandkids are going to be here any moment, so you're going to have to explain now. And
Yeah.
man,
And I mean, what an absolute piece of crap the guy was as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a horrible human being. And that leads us to our next award. And the final award, at least if do you have another moment for your favorite moment of the season?
favorite, yeah, that's not my favorite. My favorite moment, and not favorite in like, not favorite in the same way that yours is your favorite, and like excitement and like, yeah. Favorite, and I just think the scene was amazing, and it was the Ben scene when they show what happens after Wendy leaves him at the restaurant. When he walks outside, he sees the truck, they get in the truck, but like, while in the truck driving, and at first he's like freaking out, like, don't do this, please, please, like, blah, blah, blah. And then he turns to like just kind of understanding and acceptance. And he's like, please tell Wendy I'm sorry. Tell, like, can you? And the other guy just says nothing. And it's so, like you said, so much acting on his part of just like, to pull that off in that way was just, I mean, unbelievable. Because you feel for it so much. I remember you were gonna watch that episode, and it was at night, and then you're like, no, I'm gonna hop on 4. I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. Like, I need to watch this during the daytime. That episode,
you immediately know what the scene is.
Yeah, because you know the ending. You know the ending.
Like, I'm not gonna watch that on a Sunday night. Come on now.
It's one of those things that it's like, yeah, you're like, you know what's gonna happen, and you don't want to watch, but you have to. And when you're done watching it, you're like, oh God. Everything hurts.
You feel a little broken by the end of it. But again, just an incredible job. By the way, did you like that mercenary, his life gets wrapped up by the end of the show as well? I do. I like that.
Yeah. Which I'm shocked that what's her name ended up coming back. I can't remember her name. That was out of left field. She was in Miami. Rachel, yeah. And then she's the one to do it. Is just kind of fitting.
Yeah. I like that she was the one who did it. Just to see her take some power back in her life and kind of take charge for once. I was like, you know what? Good for you. You've been through a lot. You kind of deserve that.
She was happy at the Blue Cat with Tuck.
Yeah.
Oh, and that scene when she goes and sees Tuck.
Yeah.
That was a good scene. I mean, Tuck is just Tuck.
Happy for Tuck because he probably gets a job at the casino. You would imagine. Yeah. Not a great environment to work in, but at least it's a job. So, just to circle back a little bit, the final award is the least likable character award. Now, I think anyone listening out there might be screaming into their headphones or the whatever audio listening device they're listening to, going, "It's Wendy. It's Wendy. It's obviously Wendy." Here's the thing. I think a case can be made for 4 people, including Wendy. I think you have Wendy, of course. You have Javi. You have Claire, who was the person who was the head of the opiate company.
Yeah.
Or Darlene.
Yeah.
To me, it's Darlene. I think Darlene cost so many people their lives. So many people. and was a heroin farmer. To me, she is the worst human being on this show. Only slightly ahead of was he a sergeant or Agent Petty?
Oh yeah,
that guy was terrible. But
yeah, guys.
this season specifically, I'm gonna go Darlene, even though she was only in half the season. That's how you know I don't like her, when she's only there half the time and she still takes the award for it.
Hey, I'm not arguing there. I think she, like you said, I think the show could have ended. Now, obviously, I think it could have been so much smoother of a ride if she didn't exist. If her husband ended up killing her before she killed him, different show. Different show, for sure. Entirely. Because he knew what they had to do. He knew what they had to work with. Where her, she caused so many problems with the cartel along the way, and then caused so many problems just every bit. And then she's the reason why it's dead. And it just, yeah. I think she is the most evil, because also other people, when they did things, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Whereas there was moments where she did things and it was just like, no, I was just out of pure emotion. Like, that was just emotional rage. And other people, it felt like this is what we had to do.
Yeah, well, a lot of it was like she said, that was disrespect. I won't tolerate disrespect. And it's like, dude, you just killed a cartel boss. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, she was also super racist.
That too. I mean, she kind of, her killing of Del Rio was his name.
Yeah.
Her killing of Del Rio set off a chain of events that changed the course of Marty's life. Mm-hmm. I think that she kind of, her messiness spread to so many characters that I just think that she, and by the way, Lisa Emery, great job performance wise as Darlene. Really, really crushed it. Don't think anyone could have done it any better. I just think that she did a really great job, and she was the least likable character. Also, shout out to the show for having 3 like really incredible female characters. In Wendy, Ruth, and Darlene. I just think that they all are fantastic for different reasons, as well as Charlotte's really good. Helen's really good. Rachel's solid. Agent Maya, sneaky great character as well.
But like even the small kind of reoccurring characters, like I mean, I can't remember his name. I just have it pulled up on IMDb. But the one who he runs a strip club and then ends up being the gambling addict.
The original runner of the strip club?
No, okay. Sam Dermott.
Oh, the one who becomes again. I'm sorry, I misheard you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sam,
like, he's this character that you're just like, what are you doing? Like, you're falling apart. Like, I get you kind of watch your mom get, you're the reason your mom got hit by a truck and you saw it happen. But I mean, you're marrying a stripper and then she leaves you because you're a gambling addict. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and you can't marry an employee, dog. Come on now. Yeah, just a great cast overall. And I mean, to kind of wrap things up as to like all the things that happen with the show, we have Javi's mother, who I'll get her name in a second, Camilla, ordering a hit on Omar, becoming the head of the cartel, eventually getting Omar killed. I believe that was she was behind that. I think it wasn't the FBI, right?
No, it was her. It was her. Yeah.
We had her threatening Claire into giving up Ruth as the one who killed Javi. We had the foundation finally getting its money. We had the Charlotte and Jonah choosing Marty and Wendy to go with. We had Rachel coming back. So many things happened. And the one character who I didn't think was going to be in the final scene of the show, being that of the private investigator. Wait, hold on. I had his name pulled up. Mel Saturn, right? Or Saturn, Mel Saturn. Mm-hmm. Didn't expect him to be in the final scene of the show. Before we talk about what ultimately did happen. Actually, let me ask you this. do you want to talk about what ultimately wound up happening and if we liked it or not, or what we and I believe many other people expected to happen in the finale? Which would you rather talk about first? Because this is ultimately the last point of the
let's
plot.
talk about what happened first. Yeah.
Okay. Mel comes back after seemingly taking the position as a Chicago police officer again, fulfilling his lifelong goal of getting back into the police force after being caught taking cocaine out of the evidence locker. Comes back after realizing that there is a ceramic goat that keeps popping up, gets obsessed with it, breaks into the bird home, which I don't even know if they could use that as evidence at that point because he broke in and took it, finding Ben's ashes inside, or what he believes to have been Ben's ashes. Which then leads to Marty and Wendy trying to bargain with him. A great line, the great back and forth line delivery of people like you don't get to win. And Wendy says, since when? Phenomenal writing. And then Jonah and Jonah and Charlotte are seen outside. Jonah with shotgun in hand.
Very great callback.
Great call.
Full circle for Jonah's character.
Cocking the shotgun, Marty and Wendy smile, and we hear the shotgun go off as the show fades to black. I could tell that's immediately when that happened. I'm sorry. Hold on.
I was just gonna say you're missing a moment that I think was a bigger moment than the ending of the show.
We had Camilla ultimately ending the life of Ruth.
Which, can I go on my tirade of why this was dumb and how I think it ruined.
Sure.
So here we go. I get it. The Langmore curse exists. Ruth maybe could have never lived. I get it. But her just standing there and Camilla just shooting her, and that being the end of that, fell so flat for me. I thought when Ruth would die, I always had a feeling Ruth was going to die. And I thought when she would die that I would feel so much. I would be heartbroken. I would be so destroyed. And this moment felt like, okay, that happened. Like, I don't know. I guess whatever. Where, alternate, you finally have 3 step up and do something. You finally have him come in, and as Camilla raises the gun, you hear a bang, and she's the one who drops. Camera pans over to 3, and then maybe you see Ruth, and Ruth's just sobbing, and 3 killed Camilla. And my reason for why this could have been an ending with what the actual ending is you left that ending with kind of like a cliffhanger of like they're still in the life. They haven't changed. Most likely, they're going to do things like this again in the future. And to a certain extent, because although they're out, they're power hungry in a sense. Especially Wendy. I don't know why that couldn't have been the way. But at the same point, I think, for me, that scene personally fell flat.
That's fair. I'm still personally torn on the scene myself. I can't even deliver like a take, because I'm still unsure of how I feel about it. It's only been like I think a week at this point since I've watched, and I'm still kind of like I don't know how I feel. I might have to rewatch like that half of the season again just to fully get where I'm coming from. But I think a lot of people might agree with you that they didn't like the way that went down. At one point, I thought that it wasn't going to happen. You know, when she's standing there like, "Are you going to do it?" But the way that she went out was very much
her character. Yeah,
that was cussing and just kind of not caring about how bad the situation is, going out like a total BA. And with that said, do you think this was a good finale? Or you know what? Do you think the show ended well? That's how I'll phrase it. Do you think the show ended well?
I will make the argument yes. And I will make the argument because it didn't let me down. Some shows end and you're just like, the hell was that? I mean, i.e., How I Met Your Mother. I won't say how it ends,
It's the ultimate,
but it basically
example.
made the whole show pointless. Game of Thrones, and I know some people argue it wasn't as bad as everyone made it seem. The ending, for me, there's been moments where I want to rewatch Game of Thrones, and I'm like, is it even worth it? Because I know the ending's not good. This show, was the ending this moment of like just complete shock and like oh my god, like I need to tweet about it, I need to do that, I need to do that? Maybe not. But was it solid? Did they wrap up their stories? And did it give you an ending that you're like, I could live with that? It did. I don't think they fell off a cliff right before the end and then that's what they gave us. Like just a here it is, whatever type of thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's I personally don't think it's a bad finale. I think that the show ended in a way. The way I would put it is, I think the show ended well, just not in the way that was expected. But I think I would assume a majority of the fan base, and this is something I think we can now kind of morph into here. I think everyone expected for Marty and Wendy to die, at least Wendy.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder if a lot of times with modern shows and the way social media is and the way that we all discuss these shows, is if we all kind of get this group think about how things are supposed to go or how we think it's going to happen, that we all kind of then think, well, this is how we think it should happen, so that's how it should happen, right? When in reality, it's not up to us. We as our job as viewers is to take in the art and then decide if we like it or not. Now, of course, it's always fun to go back and it's fun creative exercise to go back and say like, all right, well, what if they did this? Could this have been better? Or maybe I would have liked this better if they had done this. Me personally, I would have. But the plan of the creatives behind the show was clearly to have the birds succeed.
And thinking about it now and listening to that in that moment, it kind of makes sense, right? Because people iterated it, and by people I mean characters in the show iterated it, that when the birds involve, everybody else's lives get destroyed besides theirs. And in the end, anyone who was around the birds, their lives kind of got destroyed. I mean, even the cartels, like they're forced to be working with the FBI now. Camilla lost her brother, her son, a bunch of loved ones. All the Langmores are gone besides 3. I mean, the PI is most likely dead. I mean, I guess we could all just 100% assume that Jonah actually hit a shot. And the birds are still together. They got their money. Yeah. They made it out. They made it. But everybody else, their lives are destroyed. The Ozarks are changed forever. Because of the birds.
Yeah, the birds are now infamously, within the real world at least, a famous all-time crime family. Maybe not like of the likes of the Corleones or the Sopranos, but in modern times, they're up there.
But going from blue-collar worker to top crime family is a big difference than, in the Sopranos.
Yeah, I was floored by the show. I'm really glad you had me watch it. And I'm glad we decided, because ultimately the reason I watched it is so that we could pod about it. That's the honest truth. It was like, we should pod about this when it comes out. We should watch this. And I'm glad I did. I'm a fan of a couple actors now. My appreciation for Jason Bateman has gone up considerably, even though I always liked him, but now I love him. I really want to see more of him. And again, I want to see him in film. I'm always going to champion film. And I hope to see him in more stuff, and I hope to see a lot of these actors in more stuff.
To be honest, any of the reoccurring actors in this show could have a stand up. We forgot someone. We forgot to talk about the moment that kind of made the ending of what's her name, head of the company, just snitching.
Yeah, so that was why I Claire. That's
Yeah.
why I wanted to put her on the list of candidates for least likable characters of the season.
Yeah, because
she cost Ruth her life.
There was no way that she would have found out. There was no way she would have found out that you were involved or would have come for you at all. Like, sorry, I just couldn't let that. I saw a picture and I was like, I need to just put this out here. Because that moment when she did that, I went, I hope she kills you too. And that's my immediate thought. I'm like, you deserve to die also. There's no reason for you to be alive. You what did you just do? Like, how dare you?
I mean, that was the fatal flaw in Ruth's play. The way that she probably should have done it was just to involve Marty and Wendy, not to involve Claire. But having that extra witness there, it wound up killing her in the end. And Claire is absolutely a snitch.
Yep.
Any final thoughts before we head off into the sunset along with Ozark?
Overall, I do have to say, just looking at Internet Movie Database over here and the ranking that they're not ranking, but the user reviews on it, it got to 8.5. Breaking Bad has a 9.6.
Interesting.
I don't get it. Now, I think it probably is all due to the ending.
That Breaking Bad ending was good.
Exactly. No one really had a problem with the Breaking Bad ending. Everyone loved it. This ending, people had problems with. They think it fell flat a little bit, which I wouldn't necessarily argue that it didn't fall a little flat, but I don't think this show's at 8.5. I think that's a little harsh. And I just had to say, like, it was a good run. I like that they didn't string it on longer than they needed to. They knew that they had 4 seasons of story. They said that from the beginning. They laid it out ahead of time. Good for you, Netflix, for not trying to milk it for money. I hope that you can make more shows like this, obviously. And I hope you do it with the mindset of, we're going to do a show with this many seasons, and that's going to be that, to tell a good story. Because just like everything else, when Marvel had their 10-year run, their 10-year plan, it was great storytelling. I think the planning is the biggest part, and when a show doesn't know when it's going to end or it gets cut short early, that's the biggest problem. I think having that overarching story before you even start gives you this great television. But all in all, I mean, what an amazing show. I'm sad it's over because I feel like you're losing these characters. But I'm excited to watch more content with them in the future. Because you know that at least 3 of them are going to be in other things.
There's that great song title. Don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened. And with that, my friend, where can the people find you?
As always, Ginger Girl Gaming on Instagram and Twitter. Ginger Girl Gaming on YouTube. If you're not watching this podcast on YouTube, or if you're listening on a podcast app, you can always head over to YouTube. At the moment, Kyle and I are not doing video, but we'll get back there at some point. And then if you're not, if you are watching this on YouTube, you could come find us on any podcast app. Just search Gorilla and the Geek on any of your podcast apps. You can find us there. And then, Kyle, where can people find you with your other amazing podcasts and great content that you put out?
Thank you very much, friendo. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Geeks Weekly. You can find a movie podcast I do with a great friend of ours, KG. That would be the Sweaty Dive podcast. You can find that on almost all podcast platforms. We are currently working on getting Apple Podcast up, just because they make it so difficult to
difficult
stuff. It's so frustrating. There's also a YouTube channel for that pod feed as well. If you'd like to see my art, I haven't had a chance to draw in a long time, but I'm teaching myself to draw digitally now. And if you want to keep up with that, you can follow me on Instagram at BuffCharmanderGW. And be on the lookout for our next podcast, which will likely be The Circle. I'm not sure if the Circle will end by the end of this month or during this month. So the pod will likely be either the last week of May or the first week of April. Be on the lookout for that. And I mean, thank you. If you made it this far on the pod, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, we'll see you next time.
Peace out, everybody.